Now moving on up to Delaware now, the game of the week, Brandon, in the 302 was a rematch of last year's 3A state title game.
It was a doozy last year. That game was incredible, but could this one live up to the hype?
Let's
see. Check out those highlights.
Absolutely. Smyrna's defense was on point tonight against the Cavaliers. The quarterback was flushed from the pocket. Nazir Jenkins with the hit, and the ball pops loose. Middletown falls on it to keep possession, and watches Mackenzie Squared Ward goes flying in untouched. He brings the quarterback down for a big loss. You'll see a lot of this from Smyrna this year. Now, Ymir Knight in the earthquake formation, and he flies down the sideline. Look at that speed, picking up big yards. Smyrna and Middletown were tied at 14 late in the game, and it all came down to one play.
Yeah, but before that, more domination by that Eagle front. It gave Middletown headaches all night, but one mistake was the difference in this one. Austin Troyer going for the end zone. Watch as the Eagles defensive back falls to the ground and allows Noah Krikala to come down with it, and the Eagles losing a heartbreaker to the Cavaliers 21-14. And we will talk about this one a little bit later on.
Just one big play being the difficulties of being a cornerback. Now, moving over to Woodbridge, the Blue Raiders were taking on St. Mark's. Now, Matthew Hannick is going to run this one through for the Blue Raiders to go up 6-0, and St. Mark's, the Blue Raiders for 6. St. Mark's is up big time in this one, 42-0 late in the fourth. The Spartans would keep it pouring on as Keegan Barnes goes outside, and he runs this one in untouched, increasing that lead over the Blue Raiders 49-0. St. Mark's, which just controlled the tempo from the jump. They only have given up 16 points so far on this season. Tonight was their first road game for the season as they get it done in Woodbridge. And a final score, Brandon, 49-0.
I can't believe it. That's crazy.
49-0.
You don't expect that from Woodbridge. We'll talk about that in a bit. Battle of the Bell now. Lake Forest hosting Milford, and the Spartans came full steam out of the gate. Both defense and offense making an impact. Milford special teams botching the punt gives the Spartans great field position. Then Jameer Marable makes the Bucks pay by running it into the end zone here. Following the blockers nicely, Spartans up 28-8 in the second. As the Bucks tried to bring the bell back to Milford, Legros is going to get the catch, and he has room to spare right here for the Bucks. Makes a man miss, and there he goes, gets knocked out at the 30-yard line. Then Elijah Lake trying to run it in from 8 yards out. The Spartan defense comes up with the strip. Home crowd loving it. But 2 plays later, it's the Spartans trying a shovel pass. Fumbled and picked up by Charles Shorts of Milford. He's happy. The visiting fans liking that one too. Great way to close out the half for the Bucks. Unfortunately, Spartans prevailed, dictating the entire second half, and they go on to win 52-26. They double up Milford.
Now let's take a trip up to Bear, Delaware. This footage thanks to our guys over at 302 Sports. Delmar looking to tame the Red Lion Lions. Gavin Powell calls his own number right here, and he's going to dive in for the score. The Wildcats take the lead in the first quarter. Now game is going to be tied at 6 in the second, and Jalen Johnson is on the pitch, and he has plenty of daylight ahead of him. The 30, the 20, and he's down just right outside the red zone. And the Wildcats keep it with Johnson to close his drive out, and the Wildcats retake the lead thanks to that run right there by Johnson.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Red Lion would score to end the second quarter, and they also score in the second half, and they go on to win this one by a final of 20-19. Unfortunately for Delmar, they nearly tie this game up, but a missed extra point was the difference. Moving on now, the Blue Jays are our sleeper team from the 1A to look out for this season. Today against Southern Maryland was another example why. Bolden throwing a pick on the goal line, but the Blue Jay defense is so good that they can cover up those mistakes, at least against teams like this.
I mean, look at that. That's a safety right there.
Southern Maryland under pressure, and the Blue Jays forcing that safety. Then Seaford beginning to pull away. Kareem Bolden, this kid is talented, finding Avion Matthews. This happens, it seems like, every game. Their connection very strong over there in Seaford. Avion picking up the first down and more. Then Bolden finding Matthews yet again, this time for 6, as the Blue Jays up 14-0 midway through the second. But Matthews wasn't done dominating just yet in the first half. He's in with the Wildcat, and Matthews with a hat trick, 3 touchdowns in the first half alone as the Blue Jays shut out Southern Maryland 27-0 in the first half. They go on to win it big, and they are now 3-0 on the young season.
And moving over to some more scores in the Henlopen, you see Dover beat St. George's 31-6, and then Indian River gets shut out by Odessa 19-0.
Yeah, that's a big win for Dover against St. George's. They played in the playoffs last year. Dover won that game up in St. George's 9-7 on a very cold and windy day. And Dover is looking better and better every week.
Absolutely.
We don't have a final score as of yet for First State Military Academy and Polytech, but we do have final scores from the rest of Delaware. Appoquinimink wins 34-7 over Cesar Rodney, so Cesar Rodney continues to be winless this year. Laurel 62-0 over Early College. Sussex Tech losing 54-0 against Caravel.
Yeah, that's a hard loss right there. We've seen at least 2 or 3 blowouts so far today, but yeah, 54-0 for Tech. That's not a good loss.
Yeah, my week 1 pick of Tech over Laurel just looks worse and worse. Honestly, let's go back to Woodbridge. I'm shocked by what we've seen out of Woodbridge so far this season. Right. Cape Henlopen looks like a much improved team in 3A. St. Mark's might be the best team in 2A, but still, you don't expect to see Woodbridge to lose by 49 points.
Yeah, weren't they, 10-1, undefeated during the regular season?
Yeah, they went undefeated up until the championship game last year. They lost a lot of talent from last year's team, including a Division I defensive lineman in Noah Matthews, but they should be able to right the ship next week against Sussex Tech. If they can't against Sussex Tech, they are in deep trouble.
In deep trouble. Now, another team that I think has also changed a lot from last season, Brandon, is Lake Forest. They were 500 last year, 5-5. So far, it's obviously very early on still in the season, but they're so far 2-0 with impressive wins. Maybe they can shake up the 2A this season. It remains to be seen, but the team I want to focus on is obviously we just talked about them, the Blue Jays. Seaford is a monster squad. I mean, in the 1A, they've got their eyes on making some noise this season, and they have their eyes, I think, on the Bulldogs. I talked to them during the preseason, and they were like, yeah, we're definitely looking at Laurel a little bit, but they don't want to look too far ahead. They got to focus on the teams ahead of them, but I think they can make some noise in the 1A. I mean, Creedon Bolden, Avion Matthews. I mean, Avion Matthews is 6'4", 200 pounds. I don't think
he's a big kid.
Yeah, I don't know if they're both juniors too. I don't know if there's anyone that can actually cover him one-on-one in the end open. And they're both Matthews and Bolden, both hoopers that are also football players, and they are carrying the Blue Jays offense so far this year. But that defense is really strong too. And so far, they haven't been challenged yet, but I know that there's going to be some teams that are going to give them a good run for their money, and that's where we can really see what the Blue Jays are made of.
2 quick points. I think Lake Forest has a case for being one of the top teams in that 2A district. And Smyrna, they showed tonight that they are truly a contender for that 3A championship once again. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Chief Meteorologist Rich Werdzik will be back with your full forecast.
Hey, I'm Brandon Turner with Delmarva Football, and you are watching Delmarva Sports Insider.